Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be going through a quick highlights video of the Aston Martin, I say Aston Martin, but it was actually a Group 3 race at the Redbull Ring, which was dominated by the Aston Martin. So for this race, managed to put it into P3 in one of the strongest fields that I've been in on the game for quite some time. Had some big names back in the race. We've obviously there at the front of the grid you saw Williams Giorgio, behind us Williams BeRacer, one of the fastest drivers on the game at the moment. Going through the whole field you'll keep seeing names that are very fast. So yeah, to qualify P3, considering as well that we had only jumped on the day before, we had practiced in the Porsche, and then I just quickly realised that the Porsche was probably not the car to go, and towards the end of the stream we quickly jumped in the Aston Martin and did a few laps in time trial, where I realised that the Aston Martin was clearly a better car. So yeah, we did a bit of time trialing on that in the morning before this race. Decided to just go ahead with it with the Aston Martin. Luckily, yeah, it really suited me, the car. I love the Redbull Ring in this car. It feels absolutely made for the track, really. Only 2 or 3 drivers chose not to drive the Vantage. Everyone else was in the Vantage. So yeah, pretty much a single make race, driving the Aston Martin GT3 car around here. You see Favara said down in P13, very unusual to see drivers of that strength that far back, but when you see the drivers all the way through the field, you realise just how competitive this race was. So some chance of getting some very big points in this, in our Nations Championship. Obviously we haven't really been putting too much effort into this season, but yeah, to come away with a P3 in this grid, there's some chance of getting some nice points available. But yeah, let's see how this race progresses. We're starting P3. We're going to hope to get some decent results in this. The slipstream was still running at the stronger distance for this race, obviously, because the patch came in after this. The slipstream is now down to 7/8 range. Still very strong, but at least it's better. It's at a better distance. So for this race, still running that 1.5 second slipstream. And we're starting from P3. Aim here is to play it safe, get some solid points, and then not have to race again, because this was my first entered race of the day. I think it was slot number 2. We had already lost Fire and Baptist from the first race, who had took their points. But yeah, other than that, pretty much everyone in this race still, as we see cars in front warming their tyres up. I decided not to warm the tyres up because medium tyres didn't feel too bad. Didn't really want to take too much wear out of them. Obviously we need to make these tyres last quite a bit. It's going to be a one-stop race because, well, I say one-stop, you can do a 2-stop if you pitted lap 1 from the back off the hard tyre, went medium to the end. But the fastest way really from the front was just doing a simple one-stop strategy. Behind us, BeRacer had actually started on the hard tyres. I was very tempted for that, but I felt that no, what I will do is I will take the medium tyres and try and hang in with these 2 at the front for as long as possible, who I knew would be faster than me, but I felt if I could stay with them for as long as I could, considering we'd done no race practice with this car, it was all about just trying to hang in there, gain some speed out of them, and then see if we can get a good result out of this. As we see pretty much everyone getting through lap 1 so far, nice and clean, no real issues through the field. Obviously a rolling start, so you don't tend to get that congregation of cars into the braking zones. It's a little bit more spaced out and tends to be a bit cleaner. It's one thing I wish they would kind of actually change a bit, is the rolling starts, to make them a little bit more like iRacing or even Assetto Corsa. I think Assetto Corsa are really good actually. I kind of like how they do their rolling starts. But yeah, GT, maybe they could do something a little bit more side by side like they do in the World Tour events. I think it could be a little bit closer than what it is at the moment. But at the moment we see that Will obviously lost out the position to P1 on that opening lap. I think it was just because of slipstream. Now he's got the slipstream to Giorgio. I'm in that slipstream to Will, and we've got BeRacer, and I think Williams Adam has actually overtook BeRacer behind us, possibly there, where obviously BeRacer struggling on them harder compound tyres. So yeah, BeRacer dropping back a few positions, but that was probably predicted. He's probably going to go for an early stop and get off them harder tyres and try and go for a longer stint with the slightly lower fuel on the mediums. The mediums could definitely do 12-13 laps, but they did drop off 3 or 4 laps towards the end from the experience with the Porsche. Although whether the Aston Martin would be as good as the Porsche, this track kind of suits Aston Martin with the tyre wear, so it would be interesting to see how that develops throughout the race. But at the moment, driving very nice. You can see staying with the group in front of us. You can see very close racing behind us there into the braking zone, the heavy braking zone into that right hand corner. All congregated up a bit now. You can see where the slipstream is starting to take effect. A bit of a gap developing between P4. I think that's where BeRacer obviously has caused a bit of a gap starting on them hard tyres. So we've actually got a bit of a slipstream gap developing there. You can see this is the thing with this game. When the slipstream was at this distance, once you've lost that slipstream toe, which was so important, you drop back a bit, and you can see after P4 you can see that Matu is starting to drop back from that range and suffering a bit, obviously, because he's not in the slipstream range. So now we're just trying to keep ourselves nice and cool, driving it sensibly, not making any mistakes, and yeah, just staying with the slipstream really at the moment, just trying to keep the car on the track, not picking up penalties. It was very important at this track, very easy to pick up a penalty, especially through this corner, so not running too wide there. You can see how I'm constantly trying to get the car back on the track out of turn 1 to avoid any chance of getting a penalty, and actually driving very nice so far. First flying lap of 28.7, I think that is. It's not particularly flying, but it's a solid lap. That is the main thing you've got to do in these situations, is just keep the consistency, put some good lap times in. As you see there, Will getting a little bit loose into turn 2, or technically turn 3, but we're going to skip ahead now because it was fairly static for quite a few laps. You can see there we're on lap 8 and we're pretty much in the same situation now. We've got Williams Adam behind us, exactly same 2 cars in front of us. I have pulled a little bit of a gap to myself, but we are still in the slipstream. But yeah, you can see a big gap develop between P4 and P5, where SVDR and P5 there has dropped back. Obviously there's been some battling going on behind us. Maybe people have pitted early, changing tyres, etc. But yeah, at the moment in this race it's looking okay. We're in P3. We've got Williams Adam behind us, who is going to be very, very fast. And you can see that we're starting to drop out that slipstream range slightly from Will. We're just about in it. Will's going to go for an early stop here. That's going to be, maybe a good thing for him, because the hard tyres possibly at this stage were about equal, if not maybe it'd be very close in terms of performance between the hard tyres and mediums. Of Williams Adam there, instead of battling with us, decides to give us a bump draft, which is actually quite good for myself, because we don't want to lose time by battling, and I think that's what his motive there was as well. There's no point fighting each other for an in-lap, because if you both lose time, it's just going to cost you 2 seconds a lap if you start battling. So yeah, at the moment we're playing nice and safe, trying to get back into Giorgio's slipstream. We were about a 10th away, I think, at this point, which was really frustrating. If we'd have just crept into it, I think at that corner then, we'd have got a nice bit of pull down this straight and probably been able to get back into it and nicely dragged along all the way to the pit stop. But unfortunately, I think we're about 2 temps out. So yeah, I apologise for not having the deltas on screen. I forgot to hit the record button. Luckily, in our next race we upload in Nations, I did manage to remember to hit the Elgato record button, and you'll have all the live delta information on that video. But for this one, again, I forgot. Again, I am so sorry. But yeah, you can see so far the race is going pretty well. We're coming up to about halfway in the race distance. We made a little mistake there. I got a little bit sideways there, cost Williams Adam behind us maybe a fraction of time. But we're now going to power into this right corner. I wasn't sure if he's going to go for a move on the inside. The reason we were going defensive was because I'm going in the pits, and I'd forgot my hazard button here, so I couldn't really warn him that I was going in the pit. So I think he gave us a little nudge there, but we both got away with that without any loss of time. But yeah, I totally forgot which button it was on my Fanatec wheel for the hazard button. I still don't even know, actually. I need to check that out as we fast forward the pit stop phase. And we come out of the pitch, you can see that wheel in front has actually gained about a second there. Half a second or so. And we're down into P5, but we've got P4 that still has to pit. He's not really involved with this battle at the front. So we're in net P4. Well, actually net it's P4, but we got Williams Adam out in the lead, who hasn't pitted yet. We're still probably in P3, technically in a podium position. But Williams Adam obviously extending that medium stint, obviously trying to look after the tyres in our slipstream, and extending the medium stint to have better tyres towards the end of the race with the hard tyre maybe. Should be very interesting where he comes out once he's pitted, whether he'll pit this lap or he'll extend another lap after this, I'm not too sure. But obviously there, Giorgio also as well, just ahead of Will. You can see Williams Giorgio managing to extend that lap extra on the medium tyres and still maintaining his position over Will. So that's worked out for Williams Giorgio. He's got a lap fresher tyres. Will's got a lap older tyres. However, they will be warmed up for the first half of this lap. You can see he's probably going to be able to gain on Giorgio, as it does take that a little bit of time for the tyres to warm up. You can see at the moment for me, I'm also struggling a little bit on that first half lap. The grip is starting to come back now as we go through the final corners. The car in front, luckily for myself, gets out of our way into the pit lane. That's really helped us out. We're going to have Matu behind us now. Is he going to go for a move? I'm going to go to the middle of the track just in case he does go for a move, and he actually backs out of that. We get back on the racing line and take turn 1 nicely, powering out of this corner, working our way up the straight. You can see he's going to get the slipstream down this straight, and I really did not want Matu to get past us, because as far as I knew, Matu had pitted either very early, or I'm not sure what strategy he was on, or whether he hasn't pitted at all yet. As you can see, he has a little look up the inside there, but he's not going to go for that dive. I think he's still on quite worn tyres. We're on fresh, hard tyres now, which should have a pace advantage once we can get him out of the slipstream range. As we now go into the heavy braking zone, you can see Williams Adam still not pitted in this race. So yeah, Williams Adam going for a different strategy. Obviously looked after their medium tyres very well, and has actually extended them that little bit to give him the advantage of when he pits, he's going to have much fresher hard tyres for the remaining laps in this race. But one driver we can't forget about also is BeRacer, who obviously started on the hard tyre. He's now into P6, you can see that there. So yeah, just behind Matu, who also I think needs to pit as well. So in a net position now, I think that BeRacer is actually directly behind us. There's a bit of a gap there. He's got a bit of a gap on the screen. You can see it on the track map. However, he is obviously on the medium tyres, and he's going to be able to lap about a second quicker. Well, about 7/10 quicker to a second quicker a lap until the end. It depends when he actually pitted. He might start fading off towards the end though with the worn tyres. As we now go again to start another lap into turn 1. You can see we're actually doing okay pace. First lap on the tyres wasn't brilliant, but we're just trying to get used to them now, as we managed to just come out ahead of Williams Adam. So he actually was lapping okay on them hard tyres, considering that was 2 laps extra. But yeah, Williams Adam obviously done a good job because he's not actually lost any time. So he's directly behind us now with 2 lap fresher tyres. He's managed to come out ahead of Matu as we now skip ahead a little bit in the race, and we see that Williams Adam behind us now, going into turn 1 on the start of lap 14. We hit that curb. We actually got a little bit loose coming out of there, didn't really hook it up. I was actually going to let him through there and go back over to the left, but I didn't really have time to let him through. So what you're going to see now is on the straight, I actually decided to give him a little lift off the throttle here, just to let him tuck into that position, and yeah, just trying to tuck back into his slipstream here, because we've got BeRacer behind us, who is on worn mediums, but they're definitely still faster than the hard tyres, you can see, and obviously BeRacer a very fast driver. So yeah, trying to pick up that slipstream to add them in front of us. Didn't think I'd need to go defensive here because BeRacer was quite a bit behind, but obviously the braking ability of their medium tyres versus hard tyres, you could really see the difference there. So yeah, took me a bit by surprise, but yeah, he managed to stop the car on the apex without even getting near hitting us. So yeah, that shows you just how strong the brakes were with that extra grip from the medium tyres. And again, round the outside there, you can just see so much more grip with the medium tyres. And yeah, I had to pretty much give up the fight on that. It wasn't really worth battling too much at this point. We're down to P5 as we have a massive moment on the curb there. You can see that curb took out quite a few people in this race, and it was close to taking me out there, but luckily I felt it happening like very early on and was able to counter steer it and got away with that one. So yeah, still in P5 in this race. We have dropped back a few positions, but you know, this will be interesting what will happen through the rest of the race. Will BeRacer's tyres be able to last all the way to the end? We've still got obviously 4 laps to go. Will they survive to the end? He has been on them for quite some time, I feel, as he goes very wide through turn 1. I did expect that to be a penalty, if I'm honest. When I saw how wide he went through there, I was convinced that would be a half second or 1 second penalty, but somehow BeRacer gets away with no penalty through turn 1. I was actually quite shocked at that, I must have to say. I was predicting that would be a penalty, but yeah, he gets away with that with no penalty at all, which is obviously great for him, but not so great for myself down in P5. But yeah, P5 still would be okay-ish points in this race. I think the points were 411 points for the win, which, yeah, quite big points, strong field, so points are going to be high. So P5 would have been about 340 or something like that, 350 maybe, which is pretty decent points. So I would have took these points. So I wasn't really worried too much about pushing overly aggressive at the moment. We're just trying to keep it nice and calm and just keep the lap times consistent, because I didn't know what cars behind us would be on the medium tyres. We've got a yellow flag and we have Giorgio, the leader of the race. He has spun on that curb that we nearly lost it on. So the curb where I managed to save it, I think he's had a moment on there. He's lost it on that glitch curb. I say it's a glitch curb, I actually think it's where the car is bottoming out on the curb on the middle of the car, and it's causing it to spin. So I don't think it's a glitch curb, I just think it's a issue with how you take the line through there. And yeah, unfortunately for Giorgio, he's actually been caught out there and has lost the lead of the race, but that's great for myself. We're now up to P4 in this race, which is a bit more points. And we've got B-Racer in front of us who might start struggling on them tyres. However, he has got the slipstream to Williams-Adam. So, yeah, Williams-Adam with them 2-lap fresher hard tyres is actually starting to gain on Will up ahead. You can see he's pushing very aggressively and starting to gain on PR1 Will in the lead. Because obviously Will pitted a lap early, so I think he's actually got 3-lap fresher tyres to Will in the lead. So he's really charging on to see if he can get into that slipstream. And we're not losing any time to Will now. It seems to be fairly static. We're just trying to keep with this battle in front, trying to push on, because if I can get into a good slipstream range, I felt there was a chance of getting and actually attacking B-Racer towards the end of the race with his tyres starting to fade, because he must have pitted very early to get that amount of an undercut, especially that he would have been battling behind us with them hard tyres with other cars. But you can see going through to the last few corners, somehow I don't know what has happened there, whether that's contact with B-Racer or a track limit violation. I don't know what's happened, but Williams-Adam has somehow picked up a 1-second penalty there. So yeah, quite strange. I'm not sure how it's happened, but unfortunately for Williams-Adam, he's managed to get himself a second penalty from pretty much nowhere. So yeah, we might be able to fight for picking up a podium in this race now, looking at that, as we go through to turn 1, and we see again B-Racer and Williams-Adam. B-Racer actually runs really wide, but Williams-Adam picks up half-second penalty, but B-Racer doesn't. Strange consistency with the penalty system again. I believe it's something to do with the entry into that corner and how far wide you extend. But yeah, B-Racer doesn't get a penalty for running further wide than Williams-Adam, and Williams-Adam gets a half-second penalty. So yeah, B-Racer getting very lucky with the penalty system, but Williams-Adam clearly not. That's a 1.5-second penalty. That's going to be a clear overtake for me, so up into a podium position at the end of this race. So it's actually coming good towards the end. A bit of luck, but yeah, you've got to stop, you've got to make sure you don't pick these penalties up. And for myself, I've drove a really clean race, and we're up to P3 with 2.5 laps left. We've got Williams-Adam who's still going to have them fresher tyres left, so let's just hope we can hold off Williams-Adam. But the advantage I've got now is we've got the slipstream to B-Racer, who's struggling with them tyres, which is going to give me a bit of a slipstream down the straights to avoid Williams-Adam being able to catch us up so fast. But yeah, let's see if we can push on and maybe put some pressure on B-Racer. It's going to be very hard. He's obviously got the medium tyres, but they are wearing out and they are starting to struggle. You can see it through the corners. Doesn't have the grip that you would get on a fresh set, and the hard tyres actually at this stage were driving really well. The hard tyres on this track actually felt pretty decent. As we now work our way to the second, 2 more laps to go now in this race. If we can hold on to a P3, I have to say I was going to be extremely happy, as again B-Racer through turn 1 so wide out of that corner, and I do not understand how he was getting away with not getting a penalty, because I was convinced again that he was going to get one there, but somehow he doesn't get it. He gets away with it. You can see that gap around 1 point is close to losing the slipstream, but through here the traction off the hard tyres seems so much better than what he was getting off the medium tyres. So when that seemed to be where the advantage was for myself on the better conditioned hard tyres, was on traction areas. The mediums, very warm mediums, seem to have very limited ability to get on the power. So yeah, you can see again through here, seem to be able to gain on the traction then with the ability of the slipstream to pull us back towards him. Starting to gain a bit back on B-Racer, trying to push as hard as I can now. You can see obviously that lap when we let through Adam and then B-Racer got through us, we lost about 1.5 seconds. You can see it on the lap times on the right hand side, but then after that we actually put some pretty solid lap times together here. You can see 29.3, 29.4, 29.1 the last lap, and considering the tyres are worn down, obviously the fuel is going down at the same time, so yeah, your times are going to get a bit faster because the car's getting lighter, but that wear on the tyres is picking up. So yeah, doing a good job at the moment, trying to put B-Racer under pressure, and it actually feels brilliant to be in a race of this strength of field and competing at the front. It's really nice to be back up the front here and driving with some of the fastest drivers on the game. Really happy with, again, we have to say about, I think definitely since I've moved to Fanatec, the improvements definitely there, especially when it's at a track that I enjoy. There are a number of tracks I don't particularly enjoy, but when it's a combination I enjoy, I find that my pace is much better on the Fanatec than it was on the TGT. I just think it's the wheel suits me more than the TGT. As again, through that corner, you can see the traction, definitely an advantage on the hard tyres, and B-Racer definitely struggling. You can see we're getting that slipstream, we're just not getting close enough to really be able to go for a move anywhere. As long as he keeps it clean, it looks like B-Racer is going to be able to take the P2 in this race, and Will at the front in the lead of this race, as I think Adam behind us has picked up another penalty out of the final, out of turn 1 somewhere, and has dropped back a bit more. So yeah, Adam gonna have to settle for P4 by the looks of it. I'm gonna try and push to the end of these last few corners to see if we can, force an error, but at the moment it looks like we're gonna go home in P3 position, which is definitely nothing to be ashamed of in this lobby. It's going to be some big points. Congratulations to Will there in the lead, who's driven a brilliant race and has picked up 411 points. Amazing points for Will, coming home in P1. So great job by Will. B Racer in P2. Again, great job by B Racer with the strategy that he went on with starting on the hard tyres. Comes home in a very good P2. And myself, very, very happy with a P3 in this race, considering the strength of the drivers that were involved with this. So yeah, some nice solid points picked up in this race as we go on the cool down now, as all the people finishing their laps to finish their race, as we'll take a quick look now of the final position. So you can see we managed to finish that race in a very good finishing time. That was 10 seconds quicker than what I did with the Porsche, so it really shows you how strong the Aston Martin Vantage was, and a massive 377 points. So really, really happy with the points we got from that race. I hope you enjoyed it, that race. I was going to condense this video into one video with the latest Nations race, but realised that both races were very long. It would have had to have been about a 40-minute video, so I didn't really want to do a 40-minute video, so I thought I'd do it into 2 separate videos. So this is the update with the race about a week ago, and I'm going to be doing the Audi TT race hopefully tomorrow or the day after, depending on FIA. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that one as well. Make sure you check that race out. I have to say, a brilliant race for you to watch with the Audi TT. First time ever in a race in FIA with an FF car, because I hate FF. But I hope you enjoyed that one. If you enjoyed this race, make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscription button. I will be live pretty much every day. Pretty much live nearly every day as it is, with uploading videos as well. So yeah, subscribe to the channel. Hope you enjoyed it. See you all soon.